Hey y'all, wow, I just said y'all, that's weird. I apologize for the driving video, but I just thought of something and I wanted to share it really quick. And the Wi-Fi at work is spectacular. It only takes like 5 seconds to upload. Okay. But anyway, I was thinking about how I always sort of have a difficult time getting along with ESxJ types due to their NI blind spot, because a lot of their worries and their confusions just seem so obvious to me. Like, they seem to not know what their life purpose is, or like who they really are deep down, and just a bunch of stuff like that. And whenever they get into these sort of existential crises, I don't really know how to help them, because I am sometimes just like, I cannot believe how unaware of yourself and your soul and your spirit that you are. I can't believe you sort of, because I think all NJ types just sort of have this sense of like, I know I was put here on this earth to do this thing. And that can escape us at times, but at the end of the day, like, it might be a vague thing, but like NJs will be like, I at least know that I'm here on earth to help people somehow. Or I know that I'm here to create art. Or I know that I have the skill in critical thinking that I know I need to apply somehow. Or, you know, I'm really passionate about sports, and I know that something about this aspect makes me feel myself. So, NJs are really aware of that. But I sort of realized that ENJs sort of have the equivalent issue to what I notice that my ESxJ friends and family do. Is if you have an NI or an SI blind spot, then you're kind of like, you have to remember that introverted perceiving is sort of like this collection of impressions that you've been collecting like over time, that has been accumulating and growing about what you think the world is. For intuitives, that can be sort of this growing impression of what or your purpose is. And by intuitives, I mean intuitive intuition. Introverted intuitives. There's this growing just gut feeling that the more SE experiences you see, the more your NI is going to sort of find things to grab onto, that I felt like me in this situation, I didn't feel like me in that situation. Or like, I know that I was aligned with my true self here, or I enjoyed this moment but not this one, sort of a thing. And it might be slightly different for TJs and TJs, but it will be similar enough. But ESJs, they have sort of a different impression that continues to grow, which is sort of about how the world is, how people are, which, okay, I guess is the same as how introverted intuition is. But they'll notice just different things. Like, they'll notice red flags in people that I won't notice, or they'll notice very specific actions that they took, or specific patterns or routines that will make them feel aligned or not aligned. An ESJ might not know what their purpose is, but they'll know, man, I think that I am more productive when I wake up earlier. Or like, they'll notice something sort of like that. But what I realize is that when ESJs have this existential crisis where they don't know their purpose, sorry, this video is really terrible, that ENJs have a very similar thing whenever we don't know how to apply our purpose to an introverted sensing way. Lately, I've just been thinking like, I don't know if I'm a philosopher sort of person, if I'm a spiritual sort of person. I don't know if I want to go back to school and be a sociologist. Like, all I know is that I know what my vision is. Like, I could see a vision of myself in the future. I just don't know if I'm going to, like, I know that I'm going to be writing and speaking and analyzing how people work and explaining things to people and creating content. Like, I know what lights me up, but I don't know what path specifically to take. Do I want to get a degree in sociology? Do I want to start exploring spirituality more? Do I want to just climb my way up in the business world and be like a business coach? Or do I want to just be a general life coach that does business stuff and other like spiritual stuff? Or do I want to get a degree in psychology and be like an organizational psychologist? Do I want to actually get Myers-Briggs certified, or do I want to just say, F that, I'm going to make my own system? How much of spirituality do I want to combine with this? And how much do I want to do YouTube versus other mediums? This is just something that I weirdly think about like all the time. My life coach has recommended to me a program that apparently a lot of young people are in, and she's told me that I should go be like certified to be like a life coach. That's another thing that I've thought about. But like, for me, my existential crisis sort of comes in of like, there are all these routes that I could take. And I know what my purpose is. And so at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter which one of these I pick. But I just don't know what to do. And it's because my blind spot is introverted sensing that I'm not really quite used to the different. Okay, introverted sensing is also really good at telling like the slight differences between one thing and another thing, because introverted sensing is depth of perception. And so if that's why I said they're good at red flags. Like, you can have two perfect guys in a row that could be your soulmate, and an SI user would be able to know which one had a red flag. Whereas an NI user would just have a funny feeling about someone. Or an SI user would be able to point specifically, oh, they said that one thing and that's a red flag, because normally when people say this, they mean this. That is SI and NE. Anyway, I think you guys kind of get my point, but I guess I have more sympathy for ESJ types now and how stressed they must feel when they're trying to figure out their life purpose. Like when they're going to college and they're not sure which route to take because they're not really quite sure who they are. For me, it's a very similar thing. I know who I am. I just am not sure what to do about it. And I think that ENTJs feel this way whenever they have lots of business ideas, but they're not sure which one to do. Or, I don't know. I would say ENJs will sort of have the problem where, like, I'm a writer. Do I want to be a journalist, a marketer, an author? You know what I mean? Like, there are all these different ways. But an NI user would, like, know, like, I want to be a writer, but not necessarily what sensory environment is that going to work in. So that's sort of that SI blind spot, is that ENJs don't really have, like, a collection of sensory feedback and conclusions going on in the back of our mind in the way that an SI user would. So anyway, I hope that this was interesting, and have a lovely and wonderful day.